You've been told your restlessness is a problem, that your racing thoughts, your inability to settle, your constant questioning of the world around you, that these are signs of anxiety, a disorder, something to be medicated, suppressed, fixed. But what if that's not the truth? What if what you're feeling isn't anxiety at all, but awakening? Niccolò Machiavelli understood something most people never grasp. The world is not a safe place. It was never meant to be comfortable. And the moment you begin to see it for what it truly is, a game of power, deception, and survival, you don't become anxious, you become awake. The discomfort you feel isn't a malfunction, it's clarity. It's the realization that most people sleepwalk through life, clinging to illusions of fairness, predictability, and security. But you're starting to see behind the curtain. And that sight, the raw, unfiltered truth of how the world operates, is what they call anxiety. But it's not. It's awareness. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to soothe nerves. He wrote it to strip away delusions, to force the reader to confront reality without the crutch of idealism. And if you're feeling what most label as anxiety, it's because you're doing the same. You're shedding the lies. You're seeing the world as it is, not as you were taught it should be. So before you pathologize your unease, consider this. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just one of the few who are truly awake. Modern psychology loves labels. If you can't sit still, you have ADHD. If you overthink, you have anxiety. If you question authority, you're oppositional. But what if these aren't disorders? What if they're the natural responses of a mind that refuses to accept the illusions most people live by? Machiavelli lived in a time of chaos, betrayal, war, shifting alliances. The people who survived weren't the ones who clung to hope or morality. They were the ones who saw the game for what it was. Today, we live in a different kind of battlefield. Social, psychological, economic. But the rules are the same. The people who thrive aren't the ones blindly following the system. They're the ones who see it, understand it, and manipulate it. Your so-called anxiety might just be your mind's way of rejecting the lies, the 9-to-5 grind, the fake smiles, the empty promises of happiness through consumption. None of it makes sense to you. And it shouldn't, because it's not real. What you're feeling isn't sickness. It's sanity in an insane world. Machiavelli's greatest lesson was this: the world doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about fairness. The sooner you accept that, the stronger you become. Most people can't handle this truth. They need their illusions, religion, political ideologies, the myth of hard work equals success. But you're starting to see the cracks. That tightness in your chest when you realize how much of life is a performance. That's not anxiety. That's the weight of truth. The frustration you feel when people pretend everything is fine. That's not neurosis. That's the anger of someone who refuses to play along. Machiavelli was exiled, tortured, and hated because he told the truth. And right now, your mind is doing the same thing to you, forcing you to confront reality, even if it hurts. That's not a disorder. That's evolution. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. They numb themselves with entertainment, drugs, social media, and empty relationships. But discomfort is where growth happens. Machiavelli didn't become brilliant by surrounding himself with yes-men. He became brilliant by studying power in its rawest form, by looking at the world without flinching. Your anxiety might just be your refusal to numb yourself. While others distract themselves, You're stuck with the truth that life is uncertain, that people are unreliable, that power dictates everything. That's not anxiety, that's realism. Now here's the crucial question. What will you do with this awareness? Most people who see the truth fall into one of two traps. They either crumble under the weight of it, or they use it to their advantage. If you choose to see your discomfort as anxiety, you'll seek to suppress it. Therapy, medication, distractions, anything to make the feeling go away. But if you recognize it as awakening, you'll do something far more powerful. You'll learn to wield it. Machiavelli didn't just observe power, he mastered it. And you can do the same with your awareness. Instead of fearing your sharpened perception, use it. Study human nature. Recognize manipulation. Anticipate betrayal before it happens. Turn your so-called anxiety into your greatest weapon. You feel it constantly, that restless hum beneath your skin, the gnawing sense that something isn't right. Modern psychology calls it anxiety. But what if they're wrong? What if this isn't a malfunction but an awakening? The ancient Stoics understood a fundamental truth. Discomfort is the price of awareness. Seneca wrote of sleepless nights spent wrestling with existence itself. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the inner citadel, that sacred space where one confronts reality without illusion. Your anxiety mirrors their struggle. It's not pathology, it's the friction of a mind rubbing against the false comforts of the world. Freud called anxiety the shadow of intelligence. The more you see, the more you realize how much is hidden. Power moves silently. Systems maintain control through subtle coercion. Relationships thrive on unspoken negotiations. Your discomfort arises from sensing these undercurrents, while others float obliviously on the surface. This isn't disorder, it's advanced perception. Jung took it further. What we label as anxiety often represents the psyche's growth. Like a seed cracking its shell, the self must break to expand. Your sleepless nights, racing thoughts, that existential dread, these are birth pangs. The old you, the one who believed in simple narratives of safety and certainty, is dying. The new you, the one who sees the world's brutal beauty, is fighting to emerge. Modern research confirms this paradox. Studies on gifted individuals show heightened sensitivity correlates with both creativity and psychological distress. Your mind isn't broken. It's overqualified for the banalities of ordinary life. The same neural hyperactivity that spawns panic attacks also enables profound insight. The fire that burns you also illuminates. Nietzsche's famous words echo here. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. Your anxiety isn't weakness, it's potential energy. The tension you feel is the distance between who you are and who you're becoming. Most people numb this tension. You're cursed or blessed to feel it acutely. Here lies the critical choice. Will you medicate this awareness into submission, or will you wield it? The ancient Greeks had a concept, daimon, the inner spirit that both torments and guides. Your anxiety may be your daemon calling. It asks uncomfortable questions. Why live a life that feels false? Why obey rules you didn't write? Why love half-heartedly when your soul demands everything? The French existentialists understood this anguish. Sartre called it the dizziness of freedom. Camus saw it as the necessary rebellion against life's absurdity. Your anxiety isn't a flaw. It's the authentic response of a conscious being in an unconscious world. The solution isn't to cure it, but to converse with it. Cognitive science reveals an astonishing truth. The body often knows before the mind. That pit in your stomach before a bad decision. The tension when someone lies. These are somatic intelligence, evolution's gift. Your so-called anxiety may be your oldest wisdom trying to break through modern conditioning. So the question shifts. Not how do I fix this, but what is this trying to show me? Your discomfort is a map to uncharted territories within. The sleepless nights are classrooms. The panic attacks are initiation rites. The existential dread is the price of vision in a world that prefers blindness. Machiavelli's real lesson wasn't cynicism. It was clarity. Power belongs to those who see reality without flinching. Your anxiety, properly understood, is that very sight developing. The world will call it illness. History calls it awakening. The choice, as always, is yours. What if everything you've been told about anxiety is backwards? What if it isn't a malfunction to be medicated, but a signal to be deciphered? A modern-day oracle whispering truths you've been too afraid to hear. The ancient alchemists sought to transform lead into gold. Your task is no less profound, to transmute this restless energy into conscious power. The first step is recognizing that what we call anxiety is often just our resistance to the fundamental truths of existence. That life is uncertain, that control is an illusion, that meaning isn't found but forged. The tension you feel isn't pathology. It's the friction between the lies you've outgrown and the truth you're not yet ready to embrace. Modern psychology has pathologized what philosophers have long understood as the hallmark of an examined life. Kierkegaard called anxiety the dizziness of freedom, the terrifying awareness that you are the architect of your own existence. Nietzsche saw it as the necessary chaos preceding self-overcoming. These weren't clinical observations, they were maps for transformation. Your anxiety isn't a broken circuit. It's the alarm bell of a soul that refuses to sleepwalk. Consider the biological paradox. The same adrenal response that fuels a panic attack also powers extraordinary performance. The racing heart, the heightened senses, the surge of cortisol, these are evolutionary gifts, not defects. Ancient hunters relied on this very physiology to survive. The difference lies not in the symptoms, but in their interpretation. What if your panic attacks aren't misfires, but your body's ancient wisdom screaming that you're living out of alignment? That job you hate, that relationship draining your spirit, that life path chosen to please others, your anxiety may be your biology's brutal honesty. Carl Jung discovered that neurosis often represents the suffering of a soul that has not discovered its meaning. The modern world offers endless distractions from this suffering: pills, scrolling, consumption. But the cure for soul sickness isn't sedation, it's initiation. Your anxiety is the call. The question is whether you'll answer it or numb it. This explains why traditional anxiety treatments often fail. CBT tries to correct cognitive distortions. But what if your thoughts aren't distorted? What if they're painfully accurate? SSRIs may blunt your emotional range, but they won't address why your psyche rebels against the life you've built. The real work isn't silencing your inner alarm system. It's investigating what triggered it. Eastern philosophies offer a radical alternative: leaning into discomfort. Zen masters speak of sitting with what is. Vipassana meditation teaches observation without reaction. These aren't relaxation techniques. They're training grounds for meeting life's inherent uncertainty with eyes wide open. When you stop resisting anxiety, something remarkable happens. It loses its power over you. The energy remains, but its nature changes, from enemy to ally, from obstacle to fuel. Neuroscience now confirms what mystics knew. The brain rewires itself through focused attention. Each time you meet anxiety with curiosity rather than fear, you weaken old neural pathways and forge new ones. This isn't mere coping. It's alchemical transformation. The lead of panic becomes the gold of presence. The fire that burned you now lights your way. History's most transformative figures didn't transcend their anxiety. They harnessed it. Churchill's black dog fueled his foresight. Kafka's dread birthed his art. Van Gogh's torment became his vision. Their genius wasn't despite their suffering, but because of it. Your anxiety too contains this potential, if you stop treating it as a defect and start recognizing it as raw creative energy. The existential choice is clear. You can continue fighting your nature, medicating your sensitivity, forcing yourself into boxes too small for your spirit. Or you can accept the more difficult, more glorious path, to honor your discomfort as the growing pains of becoming. To recognize that your anxiety isn't the enemy of your best life, but its unlikely architect. Machiavelli's true lesson wasn't about power over others, but power over oneself. In a letter to a friend, he described his exile not as defeat, but as opportunity, the chance to study human nature without illusion. Your anxiety offers the same gift, the merciless clarity to see through society's fairy tales and your own self-deceptions. The way forward isn't through, it's within. Next time anxiety strikes, don't reach for a pill or a distraction. Ask instead, what truth am I avoiding? What life am I betraying? What potential am I refusing? Your discomfort isn't random, it's targeted. It knows exactly where you need to grow. This is the alchemy no one tells you about. The peace you seek won't come from eliminating anxiety, but from listening to it. The confidence you crave emerges not from certainty, but from learning to dance with uncertainty. The fulfillment you long for arrives when you stop outsourcing your worth and start mining the riches within your own unease. The world needs awakened souls now more than ever. People who've made peace with discomfort, who can stare into life's abyss without looking away. Your anxiety has been preparing you for this role all along. The question isn't whether you're broken, but whether you're brave enough to embrace your wholeness, messy, magnificent, and exquisitely alive. The final truth is this: you weren't meant for easy comfort. You were meant for meaning. And meaning is always born in the crucible of tension between what is and what could be. Your anxiety isn't your cross to bear. It's your compass. Follow it fearlessly.